is a side effect of meaning.
He's got clout.
Even those that are supposedly born and never lose touch with the knowledge of their true nature, they are not much help to humanity because they don't know how to meet anybody where they are. In order to be of help to humanity, you have to take the pathways yourself. You have to take the pathways yourself that you are then going to suggest to others. And there's a beautiful comment Darfrey John made. He said a beautiful thing. He said, I had to become like you so that you could become like me. I had to become like you so that you could become like me. He claimed to have been born without forgetting his true nature. But he realized that he was of no use to humanity in that condition. So he consciously forgot his own nature so as to have to find pathways for himself back home in order to then make those pathways available to other people. And hence he said, I had to become like you in order for you to become like me. I had to become like you in order for you to become like me. I can't comment on his experience, but it's a beautiful idea. Even if one is born in the full knowledge of one's divine identity, even so, to be of service to your community, you would have to forget that and find pathways yourself in order to make those pathways available for others. I had to become like you. I had to become like you. I had to become like you. In order for you to become like me. For you to become like me. I had to become like you. I had to become like you. In order for you to become like me. For you to become like me. I had to become like you. I had to become like you. In order for you to become like me. For you to become like me. I had to become like you. I had to become like you. I had to become like you. In order for you to become like me. For you to become like me. For you to become like me.
Meaningwave, because music is everything.
One of the things that has blown me away in the last year, a large proportion of my audience has been young men. And Akira. I've spoken to them a lot about responsibility.
People are starving for the antidote. The antidote is truth and responsibility.
truth and responsibility. Truth and responsibility. People are starving for the antidote. And the antidote is truth and responsibility. That's the secret to meaningful life. Without the meaningful life, all you have is suffering. What's so odd about this is that of all the things that I've spoken about, because I can see the audience and I can feel how the audience is reacting, because I'm always paying attention to all of you, I get some sense of how what I'm saying is landing. What happens is if I talk about responsibilities, everyone is silent. Silent and not moving. Focusing, attentive. Pick up your responsibility. Pick up the heaviest thing you can and carry it. And the room goes quiet and everybody's eyes open. And I think, that always makes me break up. People are starving for the antidote. And the antidote is truth and responsibility. Truth and responsibility. Truth and responsibility. People are starving for the antidote. And the antidote is truth and responsibility. That's the secret to meaningful life. Without the meaningful life, all you have is suffering. I don't know why. I don't really understand it. There's something about it that's so crucial because we've been fed this unending diet of rights and freedoms, and there's something about that that's so pathologically wrong. People are starving for the antidote, and the antidote is truth and responsibility. That's the secret to a meaningful life, and without the meaningful life, all you have is suffering and nihilism and despair and all of that self-contempt, and that's not good. And it's necessary for men to stand up and take responsibility, and they all know that and are starving for that message. And the message is more that that's also a good thing to stand up and take responsibility, because you're cursed so much now from when you're young with this notion that your active engagement with the world is part of what is destroying and undermining the planet and adding to the tyranny of the social system. It's like, how about not so much of that? Hey, it's too soul deadening. It's anti-human right to the core. My sense instead is that if you were able to reveal the best of yourself to you in the world, that you would be an overwhelming force for good. People are starving for the antidote. And the antidote is truth and responsibility. Truth and responsibility. Truth and responsibility. People are starving for the antidote. And the antidote is truth and responsibility. That's the secret to meaningful life. Without the meaningful life, all you have is suffering.
When you go deeply into the nature of selfishness, what do you discover? You say, I love myself, I seek my own advantage. Now, what is the self that I love? What do I want? And that becomes an increasingly ever-deepening puzzle. Now, I've often referred to this when you say to somebody else, I love you. It's always rather disconcerting to the person to whom you say that. If you imply that you love them with a pure, disinterested, and holy love, they automatically suspect it as being a little bit phony. But if you say, I love you so much I could eat you, that's an expression, as a way of saying to a person, you attract me so much that I can't help it. I'm absolutely bowled over by you. I'm gone. And people like that. Then they feel they're really being loved, that it's absolutely genuine. But now, I love you so much I could eat you. Now what the devil do I want? I certainly don't want to eat the girl in the sense of literally devouring her, because then she'd disappear. But I love myself. And what is me? In what way do I know me? Well, it suddenly occurs to me that I know me only in terms of you. See, when I think of anything that I know and that I like, then it's always something that can be viewed as other than me. I can never get to look at me, real me. It's always behind. It's always hidden. And I really don't know it well enough to know whether I love it or not. Maybe I don't. Maybe it's an appalling mess. But certainly the things I do love and that I want from a selfish point of view, when I really think about them, they're all something else that's in a way outside me. You love yourself in terms of what is other, in terms of what is other. You love yourself in terms of what is other, in terms of what is other. Now we saw that there is a reciprocity, a total mutual interdependence between what we call the self and what we call the other. That's the warp and the woof. And so if you're perfectly honest about loving yourself and you don't pull any punches, you don't pretend that you're anything other than exactly what you are, you suddenly come to discover that the self you love, if you really go into it, is the universe. You suddenly come to discover that the self you love, if you really go into it, is the universe. You don't like all of it. You're selective about it, as we saw in the beginning. Perception is selection. But on the whole, you love yourself in terms of what is other, in terms of what is other. You love yourself in terms of what is other, in terms of what is other. You love yourself in terms of what is other, in terms of what is other. You love yourself in terms of what is other, in terms of what is other. Because it's only in terms of what is other that you have a self at all.
His name is Alan Watts, do you know him?
Akira, not much chance. Completely cut loose from purpose. He was a young man riding a bus through North Carolina on the way to somewhere, and it began to snow. The bus stopped at a little cafe in the hills, and the passengers entered. And he sat at the counter with the others, and he ordered. The food arrived, and the meal was particularly good. And the coffee. And the coffee. And the coffee.
ancestors' sacrifice worthwhile today?
So, this is a view of the world as a system of mutual exploitation and of maximal selfishness. Now, it's a very profitable view to explore. Everybody should do in their lifetime sometime two things. One is to consider death, to observe skulls and skeletons. Consider death, and to wonder what it will be like to go to sleep and never wake up. Never. That is a very gloomy thing for contemplation, but it's like manure. Just as manure fertilizes the plants and so on. So the contemplation of death and the acceptance of death is very highly generative of creative life. You get wonderful things out of that. And the other thing to contemplate is to follow the possibility of the idea that you are totally selfish. That you don't have a good thing to be said for you at all. You are a complete, utter rascal. You are a complete, utter rascal. Now, the Christians have avoided this. Because although they say in their Episcopalian form of confession that we have erred and strayed from thy ways like lost sheep, and we have followed too much the devices and desires of our own hearts, too much. We have offended against thy holy laws. We have left undone those things we ought to have done, and done those things which we ought not to have done, and there is no health in us. But it ought to be different. And we're going to do our best to amend with the help of God's grace. That is a real con act. If you equate health with genuine love and perfect unselfishness, then in that sense there is no health in us when we look at ourselves from this point of view. Consider death. To observe skulls and skeletons. Consider death. And to wonder what it will be like to go to sleep and never wake up. Never. Consider death. To observe skulls and skeletons. Consider death. And to wonder what it will be like to go to sleep and never wake up. Never.
Another one. Sometimes bad things, horrible things happen to good people. I don't know why, but life isn't fair. That's the reality. And disease, cancer, MS, horrible diseases and accidents, these things, a good person in the wrong place, in the wrong time, can end up just a victim of fate and of reality. And it can be horrible and heart-wrenching. But when those bad things happen to people around you, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Going to do? When bad things happen, what are you going to do? Going to do? When bad things happen, what are you going to do? How are you going to lead? Are you going to get angry? Are you going to get frustrated? Are you going to lash out at people? Who are you going to lash out at anyways? Are you going to start going down the spiral of negativity? Are you going to let this horrible situation dictate the way you feel and the way you handle it? Are you going to fall over and fall down, fall apart? Or are you going to lead? Are you going to face this issue with courage and with resolution? What are you going other people look to. Absorb that impact, absorb that negativity. Draw fire. That's when a member of a platoon, for tactical reasons, steps into the open to draw enemy fire. Maybe to give another part of his team the chance to move or distract the enemy. But that's what I say. Draw fire. Bring that pain to me. I can handle it when maybe others can't. What are you going to do? Going to do when bad things happen? What are you going to do? Going to do when bad things happen? What are you going to do when bad things are happening? I am going to try and be the one good thing. The thing standing tall that can be relied upon. Because I know that attitude will spread. It will bolster those around me. And we will fight. And in fighting, we will win. And if not the battle, and if not the war, we will win because our spirit, it will never surrender. What are you going to do? Going to do the way that things happen? What are you going to do? Going to do the way that things happen? What are you going to do? That is the ultimate victory. To hold your head high and even in the face of inescapable defeat, to stand and to fight. That is to win.
It's a beautiful day to be alive. We give thanks to the ancestors for the miracle they bequeathed us. We vow to not squander this hitherto unimaginable opportunity. Meaningwave.
This, I submit, is the freedom of real education. Of learning how to be well-adjusted. You get to consciously decide
what has meaning and what doesn't. What has meaning and what doesn't. What has meaning? 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 You get to decide what to worship. Because here's something else that's weird but true. In the day-to-day trenches of adult life, there is actually no such thing as atheism. There is no such thing as not worshiping. Everybody worships. The only choice we get is what to worship. And the compelling reason for maybe choosing some sort of God or spiritual type thing to worship, be it JC or Allah, be it Yahweh or the Wiccan mother goddess, or the Four Noble Truths or some inviolable set of ethical principles, is that pretty much anything else you worship will eat you alive. If you worship money and things, if they are where you tap real meaning in life, then you will never have enough. Never feel you have enough. It's the truth. Worship your own body and beauty and sexual allure, and you will always feel ugly. And when time and age start showing, you will die a million deaths before they finally plant you. On one level, we all know this stuff already. It's been codified as myths, proverbs, cliches, epigrams, parables. The skeleton of every great story. What has meaning and what doesn't. What has meaning and what doesn't.
You get to consciously decide.
What has meaning? 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 The whole trick is keeping the truth up front in daily consciousness. Worship power, you will end up feeling weak and afraid. And you will need ever more power over others to numb you to your own fear. Worship your intellect, being seen as smart, you will end up feeling stupid, a fraud, always on the verge of being found out. Look, the insidious thing about these forms of worship is not that they're evil or sinful. It is that they are unconscious. They are default settings. They're the kind of worship you just gradually slip into. Day after day, getting more and more selective about what you see and how you measure value without ever being fully aware that that's what you're doing. And the so-called real world will not discourage you from operating on your default settings. Because the so-called real world of men and money and power comes merrily along on the fuel of fear and anger and frustration and craving and the worship of self. Our own present culture has harnessed these forces in ways that have yielded extraordinary wealth and comfort and personal freedom. The freedom all to be lords of our own tiny skull-sized kingdoms, alone at the center of all creation. This kind of freedom has much to recommend it. But of course there are all different kinds of freedom, and the kind that is most precious you will not hear much talked about much in the great outside world of wanting and achieving and displaying. The really important kind of freedom involves attention and awareness and discipline, and being able truly to care about other people and to sacrifice for them over and over in myriad petty little unsexy ways every day. That is real freedom. That is being educated and understanding how to think. The alternative is unconsciousness, the default setting, the rat race, the constant gnawing sense of having had and lost some infinite thing. I know that this stuff probably doesn't sound fun and breezy or grandly inspirational the way a commencement speech is supposed to sound. What it is, as far as I can see, is the capital T truth with a whole lot of rhetorical niceties stripped away. You are, of course, free to think of it whatever you wish. But please don't just dismiss it as some finger-wagging Dr. Laura sermon. None of this stuff is really about morality, or religion, or dogma, or big fancy questions of life after death. The capital T truth is about life before death. It is about the real value of a real education, which has almost nothing to do with knowledge and everything to do with simple awareness. Awareness of what is so real and essential, so hidden in plain sight all around us all the time, that we have to keep reminding ourselves over and over, this is water. 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 This is water.
It is unimaginably hard to do this. To stay conscious and alive in the adult world, day in and day out. Yet another grand cliche turns out to be true. Your education really is the job of a lifetime. And it commences now.
What has meaning and what doesn't? What has meaning and what doesn't?
You get to consciously decide
what has meaning. What has meaning? 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 What has meaning?
I wish you way more than love. I wish you way more than love. I wish you way more than love. I wish you way more than love.
Meaningwave. Life is as kind as you let it be.
I do believe that it really matters that every single person gets their act together. We're networked together. We think of ourselves as 7 billion isolated units and despair that none of us have any significance or purpose. Not the case. We're each the center and a vast network. We're each responsible for determining the direction of the cosmos. We're each the center and a vast network. We're each responsible for determining the direction of the cosmos, as far as I can tell. And it isn't obvious to see how we can each be charged with that responsibility, but it still seems to me that it's the case. We're also very annoyed and irritated with one another if we don't treat each other as if that was the truth. So that's my big adventure. You think, well, here's something you could do with your life. Devoted to making everything you possibly can better. And see what happens. Tell the truth. Aim high. Tell the truth. Aim high. And see where you can get with that. Tell the truth. Aim high. Tell the truth. Aim high. It's like, there's an adventure for you. There's an adventure for you. We're each the center and a vast network. We're each responsible for determining the direction of the cosmos. We're each the center and a vast network. We're each responsible for determining the direction of the cosmos. Well, that's my big adventure. Well, that's my big adventure. Well, that's my big adventure. Well, that's my big adventure.
Meaningwave.com. Because happiness is a side effect of meaning.